I recognize the member for Beaches East York.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'll be sharing my time today with the amazing and passionate member from Scarborough-Guildwood. The Get It Done Act. What does this bill actually get done for the people of Ontario? Does it help the healthcare crisis? Nope, no mention of that. Fix the education system? Nope, no mention of that. Housing affordability? Nope, no mention of that. Just promoting more sprawl. Address the climate crisis? Nope, it will actually make that one worse. This bill would amend the Environmental Assessment Act to explicitly allow both provincial and municipal governments to expropriate land before environmental approvals. The bill, however, offers few details about how wide-ranging these powers would be or how they would play out on the ground. And we all know the devil is in the details. The Environment Minister won't even directly answer questions about how she will make these changes and make sure these changes won't harm the environment. Wow. The Minister of Environment not sure about how she will prevent harm to the environment. She said the goal is to streamline the environment assessment process, which has historically been slow and complex with too much red tape. Well, if the minister is so interested in red tape reduction, I hear there's an opening in that ministry. Biodiversity is one of the most precious and important things we have. Maybe this government thinks it's merely something that's nice to look at and enjoy spending time in, but actually it's so much more. Without biodiversity, our entire support system for human as well as animal life would collapse. We rely on nature to provide us with food and clean water for a lot of medicine and to prevent flooding and other extreme weather events. So much is provided by the natural ecosystem around us. They're truly vital to life on Earth. The government may think, okay, we can just trash one bit or remove a species, and it'll all be okay. But the different plants and animals are interconnected in vital ways that we don't even always understand. Biodiversity loss is at an all-time high. Southern Ontario alone has lost more than 70% of its wetland habitats, 98% of the grasslands, and 80% of its forests. Over 200 plants and animal species are now classified as at risk of becoming extinct in Ontario. We need to tirelessly work hard to preserve what we do have left, not pave over paradise. We can't survive if we don't have our ecosystem. That means our farmlands, our wetlands, our floodplains, the very things that would be impacted by this bill. Might I add that while the government continues to ram through Highway 413, they directly have a highway that runs along the same corridor. The government could be bold and fiscally responsible by moving truck traffic onto Highway 407. This would solve freight congestion right now at a much lower cost and a vastly lower upfront cost, less than the $10 billion it would cost to build the environmentally disastrous Highway 413. In 2022, the Premier himself even admitted it was a big mistake for the Progressive Conservatives to privatize Highway 407. So why not rectify that now, and instead of promising to impose no tolls on highways that already have no tolls, take some real action and allow trucks to use the 407 toll-free. I would say kill two birds with one stone, but I believe in preserving biodiversity and the lives of wildlife, unlike this government. Just for the record, Highway 413 will raise 2,000 acres of farmland, cut across 85 waterways, and pave over 400 acres of protected greenbelt land. It would also disrupt 220 wetlands and the habitats of 10 species at risk. The Bradford bypass would cross 27 waterways and slash through environmentally sensitive Holland marshlands, impacting about 39 hectares of wildlife habitat and 11 hectares of wetlands. The government hears that and says, let's do it, instead of using an underutilized highway that is already built. They love canceling things. Just look at the 758 renewable energy projects they canceled when they first took office. Why not cancel the tolls on the trucks for 407? Yesterday, there was a 20-degree jump in temperature in the matter of one day. The climate change is in front of our eyes. If this government plans to continue on this, the Get It Done Act is a misguided attempt that sacrifices long-term sustainability and social equity for short-term gain. We cannot afford to privatize hasty prioritize hasty development over thoughtful planning and responsible governance. We must focus on the well-being of our communities and the preservation of our environment. Thank you.
Recognize the member for Scarborough-Guildwood.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I am pleased to stand here and debate this government's Get It Done Act, or more accurately, let's say, Get It Not So Done Act, because as Ontarians know, actions speak louder than words. The members opposite say that this legislation will help build highways. Strange, because I read this bill up and down, and there isn't anything about building highways. As my colleague from Beach East York put it so well, all that's in there is stripping environmental protections. I came back from a tour of the North as a member of the Standing Committee on Finance and Economic Affairs. I learned a lot. The North is so beautiful, and the people are so warm and kind. Transportation-wise, I heard a lot about the importance of twinning highways up there. The highways up there are particularly dangerous, with only one lane per direction. That's tight driving, especially in wintertime. Not much room to maneuver. And accidents are far too common. And when a lane is shut down, that's the whole highway being shut down. And guess what? That is added pressure to their daily economic productivity. I want to share with you the accidents that recently happened on Highway 69. A 65-year-old passed away in November after a collision on Highway 69 north of the Magnetawan River Bridge, which is an untwinned portion of the highway. Non-fatal crash in March on the same section. 2 seniors died in a crash in February of 2022 in the untwinned portion south of Point Oberel. On Highway 11 and 17, pedestrian killed by pickup truck on untwinned Highway 17, 2 days in the Sault Ste. Marie area. Thunder Bay woman killed in untwinned Highway 17 crash with a commercial vehicle last month. 2 teens killed on untwinned Highway 17 crash in October. 1 person dead after 2 vehicle collision in township of Calder on untwinned Highway 11 in July. And I can go on because it's not done. But I hope you get the point about why we've got an issue with this Get It Done Act. This government has slowed down the twinning of Highway 11, 17, and even Highway 69. Not 1 kilometer started under this government's watch. Everyone in Northeast wants to see Highway 69 twinned, the municipalities, the Sudbury Timmins Chamber of Commerce, everyone. But this government, this legislation is a missed opportunity to actually focus on expanding these crucial highways and to follow through with this government's commitments. But we're not going to see shovels in the ground from this bill, only more empty promises. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, this legislation is taking a proud stance against highway tolls. Here's the problem. There is only 1 toll road in Ontario, and this bill won't do anything about it. Highway 407 will continue to charge Ontarians an arm and a leg, especially during an affordability crisis. And this government is okay with that, but of course they are, because it was the Conservatives who privatized it in the first place. The members opposite claim this legislation will prevent tolls on the Gardiner and Don Valley Parkway. That's funny, because only 1 person ever proposed tolling those roads, former Conservatives leader John Tory. This is just another bill for this government where the only person is to reverse the Conservatives' bad ideas, just like the Green Belt. Ontarians deserve serious legislation to address serious problems, not these performative stunts. Everyone Everyone wants things to get done, so stop wasting crucial legislative time on bills like this and introduce bills actually to get the work done. Just because it's in the name doesn't mean it's true.
Further debate? Questions and answers? I recognize the member for Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas.
Are you debating? No. Okay, sorry. So my question, thank you very much, Speaker. My question is for the member for Scarborough-Guildwood. Thank you for your speech today. This bill shows yet again that the only people in this province that this government gets it done for are insiders, developers, and donors. And they think that the people of Ontario don't see what they're up to. So the fact that this bill is proposing to remove tolls on highways that don't have tolls, but not remove tolls on highways that do have tolls, like the 407. This is asinine. And my question to you is, do you think that the people of Ontario are duped by this performative bill?
From Scarborough-Guildwood for response.
To the member, thank you for this question, and that's why I'm here debating this portion of Highway 407. This government talks about putting monies back into Ontarians' pocket. So my question is, we can take this opportunity, open the 407, do not have the tolls on 407. That is going to save Ontarians a lot of dollars in their pockets during an affordability crisis. Let's get that done.
And answers. I recognize the member for Kitchener Centre.
Hi, thank you. My question is for the member from Beaches East York. This bill calls highways low impact environmentally. Can you explain why highways are not low impact to the climate?
Response. I recognize the member for Beaches East York.
Thank you very much. And as you know, right now, the proposal for a highway, the ridiculous proposal for Highway 413 is being considered by the federal government. They're worried about the biodiversity loss with that highway. And as we know, there are safer, healthier options. Definitely we need to drive. I drive my vehicle. I also ride my bike. I also take transit. I also walk. And we want to get people out of cars as best we can and offer. We are woefully behind in building transit in this province, in this country, and primarily there's a holdup because of this government.
Questions. I recognize the Minister of Long-Term Care.
Thank you, Speaker. So the member from Scarborough-Guildwood brings up the twinning of Highway 69, an important issue. This government's done more than half of that. Also brings up several other highways, because we regard twinning highways as important because people need to get from point A to point B. But what I'm confused about is that the member right next to her just says how it's no good to build any highways throughout this province. So one member is saying, build the highways, expand the highways, and the member right next door is saying, don't build highways, don't expand the network. So I'm just trying to square this, Speaker. The question back to either member is, which do you stand for, no highways or more highways?
Back to the member from Beaches East York.
Thank you very much for putting words in my mouth that weren't there, but that's kind of classic comment from across the way. I will take no lessons from you, this government. I will take no lessons on climate action from this government, because you've been failing from the beginning, starting with the throne speech, not having the words climate change in it. You're allergic to those words. I know you break out in hives and you need a defibrillator whenever you hear them. But I will take no lessons for your lack of action and leaving people's children and grandchildren, nieces and nephews at risk for the future, because you can't even say those words or do anything about it. Where's the action? Where is it? Waiting. The world is waiting.
Further questions? I recognize the member for London Fanshawe.
Thank you, Speaker. The titles that come from this government, they're very inaccurate to what actions are really happening under the contents of their legislation. And I think back to when the government started originally with the license plates, and that was a debacle. Then they went to Service Ontario and they sole sourced Service Ontario into stables. We'll see how that debacle turns out because nobody knew that was coming. And then also the plates on, renewing your permits on your plates. That was a debacle. People were driving with expired plates and being fined for that. So I want to ask the member, with the tolls, and she talked about the 407, what would real change look like if this government took real responsibility and got it done and took the tolls off the 407 to make life more affordable for people driving every day to work in Toronto?
Back to the member for Scarborough-Guildwood.
To the member, thank you for that question. I'm going to state again that the toll on the 407 is very expensive. Ontario are facing a massive affordability crisis, and removing those tolls is just going to better the families of Ontario. It's going to put more monies into the people of Ontario's pocket. Open up 407. It's going to help with the gridlock and get off of Highway 413.
The questions. I recognize the member for Windsor-Tecumseh.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to thank both speakers for their comments. I'll say this, having worked in the municipality and having to come against some of the environmental assessment restrictions that do add cost that could otherwise be better spent on actual environmental remediation, do you see an opportunity, nonetheless, in improving the regulations that do exist so that we're not spending far more without a resulting outcome? We're simply spending more on a project.
Back to the member from Beaches East York.
Thank you very much. Of course, I always like questions from my favorite MP across the way. Thank you for that. And I'm always for, I'm not going to say efficiencies because that word has been used. Hijacked, yes, that word has been hijacked, and I'm for efficiencies. Time is money to builders, developers, planners, to everyone. Time is money to Ontarians. So if there's any way we can do a little bit of streamlining, I'm all for it. The problem is, I think people have lost faith in this government for when they do things because they're either just bulldozing in to do something and then reversing on it, or and wasting people's time. So I do feel there's a chance to do that, but can this government do it? I don't know.
Further questions? I recognize the member for Humber River Black Creek.
Thank you. It might come as thank you very much, Speaker. It might come as a surprise to many, but conservation authorities were first established by Conservatives generations ago in this province, right? Isn't it? I think a round of applause for them, right? Yeah. And now, generations later, we got this. Exactly. And so my question to either of you is simply this. What do you trust more, the results of an environmental assessment or the advice of a Tory Minister of the Environment?
Back to the member for Beaches East York.
Well, pick your poison, I guess. But you're absolutely right. There have been great environmental measures by some Conservative governments, right? We're thinking Bill Davis, we're thinking Robarts, Mulrooney, lots of good, strong initiatives. The conservation authorities, for sure, established under a Conservative government. This government can't even say the words climate change, can't even think anything beyond EVs for climate action. Sorry, newsflash. EVs are not going to solve the climate emergency. So maybe you can learn from your predecessors in your party, just get out some textbooks, talk to some people, and actually get creating strong climate action.
Further questions?
Don't be afraid.
Final question. I recognize the member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.